Good morning, Little Masters, and welcome to today's Tolkien Times. I'm the Man of the West, also from the Prancing Pony podcast. Thank you for joining me as I head back into the rich poetry found in Tolkien's epic poem, The Lay of Leithian. Last week we finished Canto 8, as Finrod and Sauron faced off in an epic musical battle. Today we begin Canto 9 and meet the goodest of all the good boys. Hounds there were in Valinor with silver collars, hart and boar, the fox and hare and nimble roe, there in the forest's green did go. Orome was the lord divine of all those woods, the potent wine went in his halls and hunting song. The elves anew have named him Long Tauron, the Vala whose horns did blow over the mountains long ago. He who had hunted in the world before the banners were unfurled of moon and sun, and shod with gold were his great horses. Hounds untold, baying in woods beyond the west, of race immortal he possessed. Gray and limber, black and strong, white with silken coats and long, brown and brindled, swift and true, as arrow from a bow of yew. Their voices like the deep-toned bells that ring in Valmar's citadels. Their eyes like living jewels, their teeth like rule bone. As sword from sheath they flashed and fled from leash to scent for Tauron's joy and merriment. In Tauron's friths and pastures green had Huan once a young whelp been. He grew the swiftest of the swift, and Orome gave him as a gift to Celegorm, who loved to follow the Vala's horn o'er hill and hollow. Alone of hounds of the land of light, when sons of Feanor took flight and came into the north, he stayed beside his master. Every raid and every foray wild he shared, and into mortal battle dared. Often he saved his elvish lord from orc and wolf and leaping sword. A wolf-hound, tireless, gray, and fierce he grew. His gleaming eyes would pierce all shadows and all mist. The scent moons old he found through fen and bent, through rustling leaves and dusty sand. All paths of wide Beleriand he knew, but wolves he loved them best. He loved to find their throats and wrest their snarling lives and evil breath. Sauron's packs him feared as death. No wizardry, nor spell, nor dart, no fang, nor venom devil's art could brew had harmed him, for his weird was woven. Yet he little feared that fate decreed and known to all. Before the mightiest he should fall, before the mightiest wolf alone that ever was whelped in caves of stone, that thrice with words would he then speak, ere his doom and death in future seek. Hark! Afar in Nargothrond, far over Sirion and beyond, there are dim cries and horns blowing, and barking hounds through the trees going. The hunt is up, the woods are stirred. Who rides today? Ye have not heard that Celegorm and Curufin have loosed their dogs? With merry din they mounted ere the sun arose, and took their spears and took their bows. The wolves of Sauron late have dared both far and wide. Their eyes have glared by night across the roaring stream of Narog. Doth their master dream, perchance, of plots and counsels deep, of secrets that the elf lords keep, of movements in the elvish realm, and errands under beech and elm? Curufin spake. Good brother mine, I like it not. What dark design doth this portend? These evil things we swift must end their wanderings, and more 'twould please my heart full well to hunt a while and wolves to fell. And then he leaned and whispered low that Orodreth was a dullard slow. Long time it was since the king had gone, and rumour or tidings came there none. At least thy profit it would be to know whether dead he is or free. To gather thy men and thy array, I go to hunt, then thou wilt say, and men will think that Narog's good ever thou heedest, but in the wood things may be learned, and if by grace, by some blind fortune he retrace his footsteps mad, and if he bear a Silmaril, I need declare no more in words, but one by right is thine and ours the jewel of light. Another may be won, a throne, the eldest blood our house doth own. Celegorm listened. Naught he said, but forth a mighty host he led, and Huan leaped at the glad sounds, the chief and captain of his hounds. 3 days they ride by holt and hill, and wolves of Sauron hunt and kill, and many a head and fell of grey they take, and many drive away, till nigh to the borders in the west of Doriath a while they rest. There were dim cries and horns blowing, and barking dogs through the woods going. The hunt was up. The woods were stirred, and one there fled like startled bird, and fear was in her dancing feet. She knew not who the woods did beat. Far from her home, forewandered, pale, she flitted ghost-like through the vale. Ever her heart bade her up and on, but her limbs were worn, her eyes were wan. The eyes of Huan saw a shade, wavering, darting down a glade, like a mist of evening snared by day, and hasting fearfully away. He bayed, and sprang with sinewy limb to chase the shy thing strange and dim. On terror's wings like a butterfly, pursued by a sweeping bird on high, she fluttered hither, darted there, now poised, now flying through the air, in vain. At last against a tree she leaned and panted, up leaped he. No word enchanted, gasped with woe, no elvish charm that she did know, or had entwined in raiment dark, availed against that hunter stark, whose old immortal race and kind no spells could ever turn or bind. Huan alone that she ever met, she never in enchantment set, nor bound with spells. But loveliness and gentle speech and pale distress, and eyes like starlight dimmed with tears, tamed him that death nor monster fears. Lightly he lifted her, light he bore his trembling burden. Never before had Celegorm beheld such prey. What hast thou brought, good Huan, say? Dark elvish maid, or wraith, or fay? Not such a hunt we came today. And so we meet the best boy ever to fetch, Huan, the hound of Valinor, who once belonged to Orome himself, named Sauron here more often than not, before the Vala gave him to Celegorm. Proof that not all dog owners are good dog owners, but hey, I'm getting ahead of myself on that. I loved that next to last stanza that we read, and I'm just going to read it again. Huan alone that she ever met, she never in enchantment set, nor bound with spells, but loveliness and gentle speech and pale distress, and eyes like starlight dimmed with tears, tamed him that death nor monster fears. And that care, that dedication, that instant dedication that Huan has towards Leithian, we're going to see that come into play later in this story over and over again. For now, though, folks, that is it for today's First Stage Friday. But come back next week for more. Now, we'll eventually get back to Fandom Fridays again, so if you know anybody who should join me here for a future Fandom Friday, let me know by emailing barlaman@theprancingponypodcast.com. Please visit patreon.com/TolkienTimes to learn how you can support the show, get an ad-free feed, a monthly hangout with me, a bonus episode every week, and more. And join me again tomorrow on today's Tolkien Times as we wrap up this week with Silmarillion Saturday. If you're watching us on YouTube, please be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Please follow or subscribe in your podcast apps and follow @Tolkien Times on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Finally, as Faramir says, go with the goodwill of all good men.